Hi, this is my video pertaining to my dental office's quality assurance program for dental radiographs in particular. My office only uses digital imaging, so this video will pertain to the program used to specifically address digital imaging and including digital sensors, the attachments to the digital sensors, panoramic machine, the Nomad, and the wall mounted unit. All that is part of the radiography um, part of our office. So we'll just go into detail for each one and tell you what to look for, what to do, and who to contact in case you need to do that. So for the panoramic monitoring, there are a few things you want to look for. You want to make sure there's no malfunctions, make sure the output is great, and there's no damage to the unit, display. If the imaging is not up to par, some discrepancy in how it looks, definitely look into that further. There are some images that I have included in the guide for the quality assurance program for the dental auxiliary to take a look at, particularly part damage, if any kind of a questionnaire that can help with the answering if there's an issue with my pano. So, but if there are things pertaining to the image that you cannot fix, particularly the quality, how it looks, if there's no radiation being exposed, maybe even perhaps too much radiation being output with it, then you will contact Dentsply Sirona. There is a number included in the guide to help with that. So recap, just make sure there is no damage to any wires, no damage to the actual unit, and heavily review the dental image quality, because a lack of quality will make a non-diagnostic radiograph, and we don't want that in our office because we want a very diagnostic images, no retakes, and make sure all the operators and patients are safe. So now we'll move to the Nomad. Nomad has a similar characteristic as the Pano, as in it's a device that is used to expose x-rays on a patient for radiographs. So you want to look for damage to the housing of the Nomad. Say it's been dropped. Make sure there's no electrical faults, no timing errors, no output variations. Make sure the kilovoltage and milliamperage are accurate. In this guide, there's also care steps like cleaning, how to transport, how to store it. Also, some error messages I've included in this just so to show that if there's a message, what to do in that situation. Like, can you fix it with the Nomad? No. Generally speaking, you must contact the provider, just because is lots of voltage in there. You don't want to shock yourself or void your warranty. Big issue. So I've also included some troubleshooting for the dental auxiliary, like overexposure, underexposure, chemical developer, stuff like that, pertaining to the Nomad. Make sure all the settings are appropriate. And recap to that, if so, just make sure there's no damage to the Nomad. Make sure the settings are kind of, you don't want too much radiation coming out, not enough. Just make sure that you as the operator and you and the patient keep them safe above all else. So with the wall mounted unit, you want to monitor that as well, because it's also another exposure. So make kind of a repeat. Make sure for any minor malfunctions, output variations, electrical faults. Make sure the collimation is pretty good. Make sure there's no problem with that. Make sure the tube head doesn't drift, because you don't want the tube head to drift in the middle of a radiograph. So that's just useless exposure to the patient, and you're not gonna get the image. This should all the above units I talked about should be tested at least once a year, or if there is a problem that you see with it, if you're finding any issues, then definitely contact your provider. For wall-mounted unit, we have that through Patterson Dental, which I've included the hotline there. If there's any discrepancy whatsoever with the UL unit, electrical, radiograph, or otherwise, discontinue use of that unit, and then call the Patterson Help Hotline, and they'll have to send a rep out to help with that, any kind of repair you need. Digital sensors, and you said that should be inspected for imaging malfunctions, damage to the sensor, damage to the wire that attaches to the sensor, and even damage to the docking bay that you plug the sensor into. This should be inspected daily by every dental auxiliary, hopefully, but primarily by the quality assurance program coordinator, because we want some level of can't remember the word, but if there's any damage to the wire attachment or sensor, like, discontinue use, because you need to contact Dentsply Sirona. Make sure when it's make sure the wires aren't tangled when they're hung up on the wall. Make sure that they're not being coiled too hard, and they're being cleaned from the middle down. You don't want to go from the sensor pull back. That will damage the fiber optic in the wire, and that will end the use of the sensor prematurely, more than likely. But if there are any repeated discrepancies in the quality imaging, or even out of the sensor or the docking, definitely call Dentsply Sirona. I've also included some data about the sensors inside this program. For example, images is not want to come up, so I've included pictures of lights of what they should look like on the docking bay, and on the computer screen as well. Recap, if any discrepancy with imaging, call Dentsply Sirona. Make sure the wires are not wrapped around each other too tight. You want it to be nice, hanging gently from the center down. You don't want to wipe from the sensor down to the cord. You want to wipe from the middle down to each side. But other than that, all of these work together to provide your office with diagnostic images. So you make sure that your Pano, your Nomad, your wall mount unit, and your digital sensors are all in line. You're doing a great job providing that care for your patients. Now, the final topic I'm going to hit upon is digital imaging storage. Most of your software that you have with your systems will store it there, but it's always nice to have a backup in case, like, say for some reason, like Eaglesoft like crashes or something. So it's always nice to have a digital storage backup. You can put it on a different hard drive. There's huge levels of hard drives around, like terabyte size hard drives you can store things on. So you can always make a copy of that, put it on backup just in case. You never know what could happen. But if you do all the above, you'll have a very quality assurance program for your radiography for your dental office, and provide that quality care for your patients.